Hi folks, good to see you. Hope everybody's okay. Love to everybody out there. I just want to make a video. Don't forget Facebook and Twitter. And you can get me on jasonburnspreacher.com, my website. I want to share with you this called it's an article called The Islamisation of France. It's in a book. Uh, it's in this magazine, Prophetic Witness, which I got from a church that I visited the other day. And the following article is by Dr. Guy Millier, a professor of the University of Paris. Shows disturbing signs of the trend that is taking place across Europe. He says, for years freedom of speech in France has been in the process of being crushed, particularly regarding Islam and Islamic terrorism. Journalists who said that Islam often did not look much like a religion of peace, but more like a religion of war, were systematically and harshly prosecuted. Journalists and writers who said that terrorists attacking France were Muslim and that the Islamism was not foreign to Islam had to answer for their words in court and were fined thousands of euros. The article goes on, and it's a brilliant little article, and it just goes on to say that in France, the elites, the politicians and the academics have jumped on any journalist, any thinker, any activist who said that Islam is taking over France and criticizing Islam, and basically taking away people's free speech who would criticize Islam. And the article then notices that when a play came out attacking Christianity in France, nobody said anything. When churches and Jews are being attacked, nobody says anything in France. But yet any criticism of Islam and it's the political correct brigade come out and it's oh ho ho, you can't say that, you're going in prison or you're getting fined. And Macron recently, it says in the article, has just crushed any opposition to Islam and to the point where few people are very reluctant to say anything to criticize Islam in any way. And the top and bottom of it, the conclusion that I come to is that the politicians in the UK and the elites will crush anybody who speaks out against Islam. What that tells me is it's either going to go two ways. Either people need to step up the plate and begin to challenge Islam even more, but realize the need to challenge the state and the elites of this nation in the UK and Europe, or to face the fact that our politicians have failed us and sold us out, and that the future is Islam, and to take drastic action. Now, what that drastic action is, I don't know. But drastic action has to take place. Otherwise, if drastic action is not taking place, the conclusion is that Britain one day will be an Islamic nation. And if it is an Islamic nation, from what I understand, there'll be Sharia law. Now, this might be seen as scaremongering, and it might be seen as Islamophobia. But I think that one has to just be realistic and just be honest. There is a double standard that's going on in Europe. For example, in the UK, there was a lady in Pakistan who was a Christian and taken to court and put in prison for blasphemy law. She hadn't done anything wrong. I think she was called Azai Bibi or somebody. And Britain would not offer asylum, but New Zealand and one or two other countries. And I thought to myself, it's absolute scandal that our country would not offer her asylum. Now, things might have changed, but only under a lot of pressure. And the reason why they wouldn't offer asylum at the beginning is because they didn't want to scare the Pakistani Muslims in the UK, which shows me that Islamic culture is having a profound effect upon our national life. And I don't agree with it, because I don't want to come under Sharia law, and I don't want Britain to come under Sharia law. Now, the intellectual elites and politicians will disagree with me and say I'm being Islamophobic. But I would say that you are being national-phobic, that you as intellectual elites and politicians have no pride, civic pride in your nation and your history and your culture. That the multiculturalism that you're propounding is not multiculturalism. It's really cultural genocide, where you're out to emasculate and destroy British national life and destroy the history of and the culture of this nation. So I would say that you as elites, politicians, are basically traitors to the cause. You're traitors to this nation. You're traitors to this land. You're traitors to the British people. You're even traitors to Islam, because if Islam was the truth and the way to go, you should allow free speech and criticism of Islam. So you're even a traitor to them. You're a traitor to everything that is good and righteous. You're a traitor to freedom. You're a traitor. You are national traitors to the cause of this nation. And I don't know what the answer is, but barring a Christian revival in the UK, I think personally that nationalism will rise in this country, and I believe there will be a showdown. There'll probably be a civil war. I think most definitely there will be a civil war, because those who are in power are traitors to this nation. You're not only traitors in terms of allowing Islam to begin to take over, but you're traitors in that you have sold out the nation to a political correctness and amorality that lacks no intellectual foundation whatsoever, but you have rammed this political correctness and all its ideologies, rammed it down people's throats. And eventually, one day, there'll be a reaction against it, as we can see in France with riots already. There'll be more riots. There'll be riots everywhere in Europe because of this nonsense. It's not just rioting about the taxes of diesel in France. It's a rioting because people feel their cultural life on the edges of the cities, more in the countryside. It's a feeling that they're not being listened to. It's a feeling that their whole cultural life is just being dismantled by the technocrats in the cities. And so already there is rumblings within the nation states of a revival of nationalism. We see it in Poland, we see it in Hungary, we're beginning to see it in Holland, we're beginning to see it in Germany, we're seeing it in Germany, we're seeing it in Italy. And this nationalism will eventually begin to turn on Islam. And Islam is already growing stronger in Europe. In fact, the Turkish government recently made a public statement how happy they were that Europe is becoming more Muslim, and also encouraged Muslim women to have more children. Now, I love Muslim people. I think Muslim people generally are great people. I love them to bits. I've lived amongst Muslim people all my life. Some of the best people I know are Muslims. I've got no issue with Muslim people as in individual people. But I do have an issue with Islam, and the issue of Islam is an ideology, and I have a tremendous issue that our Western civilization and our own nation, UK leaders, should take a lesson from what's happened in France. That free speech has been totally obliterated in France and dismantled, all in the name of protecting Islam. That should be a great lesson that everybody should learn in the UK, because it's coming to the UK. We're already beginning to see it. Now, I don't agree with Islamophobia. I don't agree with people picking on another group. I don't agree with that. I've no time for that. I've no time for a bad attitude like that. I've no time for a bad attitude towards Muslim people. No time whatsoever. There's Muslim people that I've known. I was preaching once, and a Muslim little boy and a dad came over and bought me a drink. I've been preaching, and Muslim has bought me some food. I've been preaching only the other day, and Muslim girls came and sang with me, "This little lad is mine." So I've got no problem with Muslim people, and I have no time for anybody who demonizes Muslim people, and I have no time for anybody who has this nasty hatred towards Muslim people. I've no time for that. But I am concerned and I am worried that our leaders at the top are a bunch of wets, that our leaders are traitors. We can see it in Brexit. That's traitor. You're a traitor to the nation with Brexit. That the people voted to come out of Europe, and you as politicians in Parliament, you are traitors. You are traitors to our nation. You are traitors to democracy. What you have done to us is not right. And I'm concerned that as our decay in our national life is here, and as we have these bunch of wet snowflake leaders at the top, that we're all asleep. And we walk into a nightmare that we never even dreamed of. Because if you think secularism was difficult, if you think secularism was tough, or if you think whatever you thought was a problem, it's nothing compared to what's coming down the road with Islam. Islam is a juggernaut that you have absolutely no idea what you're getting into in national life. Once that gets a grip of national life, it will be very, very hard to get that hand off national life. Once the rot is there, there's very little. The only way to turn back the clock is war, is civil war. So you leaders at the top have played with fire. You've played with fire, and you're going to get burnt. And the only hope I see is a national revival in Christianity. People coming to read their King James Bible, going to the book of Fox's Book of Martyrs, reading and learning about the church, reading Pilgrim's Progress, reading Calvin's Institutes, reading St. Augustine's autobiography, reading the Puritan writers, John Flavel and many, many others. The only hope I see, John Newton, reading about his life, William Wilberforce, J.C. Ryle, and learning about your history and learning about your Christian identity and culture, and coming to know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and taking Christ to the streets and taking Christ to politics, and a national revival in Christianity. That is the only way, the only hope that I see for this nation. Barring that, I see a civil war coming to our land in the next 5 to 10 years. Because our people, our leaders, sold us out. They sold us out for some ideological globalization, multiculturalism, whatever it is, that was really just the ideas of man. And it had no intellectual, no spiritual, and no national foundation. So, the Islamization of France is a lesson that Britain needs to learn. Strong words, very controversial words that I've stated. But I'm willing to debate them. I'm willing to debate any Muslim apologist. I'm willing to debate any academic. I'm willing to debate anybody on the BBC. But you see, they won't debate anybody like me. They won't debate someone who bring the evidence, can debate on an academic level. And so what you're going to get is the media pumping out lies and lies like the BBC. The BBC is the most dishonest news outlet in the world. It is the most disgraceful, dishonest outlet. And the BBC is an absolute disgrace and is an enemy of our country. She is an enemy of our country. And the first thing that we should do when the people come in power, and there is a government that actually listens to the people, is end the power of the BBC and annihilate it off the planet, and put something that is democratically accountable to the people, and not a politically correct brainwashing machine that it is. God bless you. Love you. And keep loving people. And God bless you. Take care.